presenters to just give a quick introduction about themselves, their role here on campus, and just maybe a little bit about either the areas they teach in or areas they specialize within biology. So because I can see Travis Almquist first, so I'll ask him if he would please start.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Travis Almquist. I am an associate professor in the Life and Environmental Sciences department. I teach ecology, plant biology, and several of our introductory sequence courses, and then a course on global change biology. And my specialty is invasive plants. So.
Wonderful. And Stephanie Otto-Hitt, if you wouldn't mind going next.
Okay, I'm Stephanie Otto-Hitt. I am in the biology department here at Carroll, and I teach intro bio, and then I teach molecular biology, developmental biology, cell and molecular neuroscience, and I'll also be teaching some of our advanced research experiences. And I'm also the pre-dental advisor here at Carroll, and I am the co-director of the neuroscience minor program.
Fantastic. And Dr. Dan Gretch, please.
Morning, everyone. So I'm Dan Gretch, and I've been at Carroll for 13 years. And in that time, I've taught cell biology for the biology program. Way back in my early history, I was the genetics teacher at Carroll. But my primary role as a faculty member is as a biochemist. And that's typically a course that's taken in your third year or your fourth year. And my research interests, we isolate novel viruses from the environment and characterize them structurally and characterize their genes. And I'm also the pre-medical advisor. So that's probably the primary role that I'm playing here today, if you have any pre-med types of questions and how that might overlap with the biology program.
Fantastic, thank you. And last but certainly not least, Alyssa Hahn.
So I'm Alyssa Hahn. I'm a professor in the biology department. I teach human anatomy and physiology. It's a year-long sequence. I also teach an upper division biomechanics course, as well as I help out with some of the labs for comparative anatomy and biological principles too. In addition to that, I also have a biomechanics research program. My research program studies osteoarthritis as well as polycystic kidney disease. Sorry, my dog is here. You can see his nose. Yeah, so those are kind of my main classes. So I also will be helping with some of the advanced research experiences, which are upper division labs that we're implementing in our new curriculum.
Fantastic. So actually, why don't we go ahead and maybe start with that? Maybe what are some changes and some new things that are coming to our biology department starting in next year and in the future? And anyone's free to answer for that.
So I think I'll start. So some of the biggest changes is there's a lot more flexibility in our introductory series. So we went from 2 introductory biology courses that were sequential, which means you had to complete the first one before you could take the second one. And now we're just offering our 3 foundations courses each semester. So if you come in, when you come into Carroll, if you want to do your cell and molecular biology first, or if you want to do your organismal biology first, or your ecology first, you can do it in whatever order you want. So we used to require all students to take the molecular cell foundations and then the organismal. And now you can just pick and choose what you want based on what you're comfortable, what your comfort level is. And then another big change is our advanced research experiences. So starting next year, we're requiring all of our graduates to participate in at least one advanced research experience. And how these are designed is you would come into the course and you would design your own research project in the field that that course is related to. So Dr. Almquist is teaching a plant ecology, Dr. Hahn is teaching one in cellular biomechanics, I'll be offering a molecular biology one and a cell and molecular neuroscience one. Another faculty member is doing an animal physiology one. So we have these various disciplines. You'll come in and you'll design an experiment in one of those disciplines. And you'll spend the whole semester working on that research project. And then in the end, you'll have a a tangible product, a poster that you'll present at our undergraduate research festival. So we're really excited for this change because we really embrace the thought of students doing undergraduate research. And we know that you guys get a lot out of that experience, and so we committed to putting that into our curriculum.
And I would just echo that and say that these research experiences are kind of hard to come by, right? And so normally we can each take about 2 or 3 students, maybe sometimes even just 1 student per summer to join our research team. But this is an opportunity now for us faculty members to be able to take on more students. So we could have up to 12 students working on our research projects with us per semester. So it really helps us not only build our research programs, but it also helps us get more students involved in research in a curriculum-based manner.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds exciting. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Gretch.
Just to add a couple things. So I think one of the messages that should be clear then is you're guaranteed an original research experience, right? To work on a problem that has never been solved in the history of humanity. You have a chance to form that hypothesis, design those experiments, gather that data, and then present it either on campus or at a regional meeting, or even sometimes at a national meeting. So that's a pretty powerful set of experiences. The other thing that I would say is that if you come to Carroll, let's say you're a biochemistry major and you're kind of thinking, well, the chemistry part of this doesn't taste as good, but I really do enjoy the biology. For years and years and years, we've been able to transfer very fluidly between majors within the first 3 to 4 semesters, and that has been preserved in this new curriculum. So as you matriculate in your first year and a half, you maintain options in terms of what your ultimate major will be. And biology is kind of central to all of that. And so the good thing is you can tweak your major in the first 3 or 4 semesters and you're still perfectly on track to graduate in 4 years.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. So I do have a few questions that we had kind of ready before this started, but just again to remind all those that may have just joined us a little bit later, if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them through our chat feature and we'll make sure to get those answered. So always feel free to send us in those questions. So maybe could we talk a little bit about what are some of the career opportunities for a biology major? I know a lot of students are familiar with our biology for pre-med and pre-dental, and those are fantastic options, but maybe each of you could maybe mention a few other areas or things that students could do with a bio major, just so they know all their options.
So I guess one thing I forgot to mention is I'm also the pre-PA and pre-PT advisor, or one of the pre-PA and pre-PT advisors. So physical therapy is another option with a biology major, as well as physician assistant. So those are kind of 2 other potential career options.
Fantastic.
Sure. And graduate school is also another great option. We have students matriculating into graduate school to continue doing research, or if they're interested in teaching. I've had students matriculate into medical lab scientist programs. So those are the folks that works in the labs and they analyze the samples, like doing COVID-19 testing, which is a really big thing for these labs right now. So there are definitely lots of different options to take with biology major, whether it's teaching or research, working in the lab, working with patients. There are multitudes of opportunities. So.
One of the challenging things about biology and kind of the sciences that surround it are it's such a vast field, and there are several of these kind of directed tracks that we think about, like pre-med and pre-dental and those things, but there are almost innumerable different pathways that you can take. So you can go on to graduate school and go into industry. You could go into graduate school and go into the public sector. In ecology, there's everything from sort of consultant work to working for federal and state agencies in any vast number of things. And this is anything from cellular biology up to sort of global scale ecology. Agricultural research is a huge field. And so that often then connects even to things like public health, which kind of wraps back around to sort of that medical type of interested students. So there's just a huge range of potential that within that field. And one of the things that we really stress, I think, for our students is to develop this base understanding of biology as a whole, or even the sciences as a whole, and using that to then have the potential to kind of go wherever you want based on what you're interested in. And I think the students that end up leaving Carroll, they all choose a direction, but any of those students could pivot in pretty much any direction that they wanted to.
Wonderful. Yes.
I'll give an extreme example of what Dr. Almquist was just mentioning. So recently we had a science major graduate from Carroll, and rather than writing a letter of recommendation to medical school, my letter of recommendation went to law school. And so he graduated in 4 years with a science degree from Carroll and made it into Georgetown University School of Law, which is one of the best law schools in the United States. And he's going to graduate with his law degree this year. So I think if we do our jobs right, we don't narrow your choices for you, but we open the choices for you. And certainly many of you will come in with science interests, and you'll maintain those science interests, and you'll ultimately work in science. But part of our commitment as a department and as an institution is to give you broad skills in critical thinking that are transitionable to any professional area of interest.
Yeah. And I just want to piggyback one last thing is also we give a lot of opportunities to actually practice what you're learning. So, a lot of your experience at Carroll is academics in the classroom and in the lab, but we have great partnerships with various different institutions, clinics, hospitals, labs, the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. I mean, being in the state capitol, being in Helena, we have these great relationships with various different institutes that allow our students to get real hands-on experience during their time at Carroll to help them figure out what career path best fits their wants and needs and desires. So
wonderful. And actually that kind of ties into what my next question was. And Miller, I'm going to ask your question after this one, but can you talk a little bit about the advising process for our students here at Carroll when they work with each of you, whether they're looking to go on to dental school, medical school, PA, PT, graduate school, research, any of that? Could you maybe talk about how each of you work with your students in the advising process? Anyone care to start?
So I'll tackle this one first. So we sort of have two kinds of advising, generally speaking, and all of us are doing all of them. So we have the typical academic advising where students come in every semester and we talk about courses that they need to register for, what major or what area they're kind of targeting, and then we talk about how to plan that out and things like, I want to do a semester abroad, and so we get them to kind of think about this long 4-year plan. So that's the sort of academic component. And then there's the professional component, and that's where, depending on what you want to do, you would maybe have an additional person that you would talk to. So if you're planning on applying to medical school, you would then talk to Dr. Gretch. And that professional advising is a little bit different. So we talk about not just that 4-year plan, but where you want to go after that. So what are the courses that you need to achieve whatever goal that is? I don't have any official pre-professional program. I tend to taking a lot of the students that are graduate school kind of in the area of ecology, environmental science, those type of things. And then we talk about what they want to do, experiences that they maybe need to start thinking about, opportunities. If you think you're interested in something but you don't really know, then we can sit down and have conversations about where you want to go and what you want to do. So I would distinguish between those two different kinds of advising, and they run together a little bit, but we all do both of those, and that's at a very personal level. and we're the ones that end up writing letters, you know, for students, for law school, for graduate school, for medical school, and all of those things. And the nice thing is, when we've worked with students for 3 or 4 years, we actually have something to say about those students, rather than, oh, they got an A in my introductory biology class and that's all I can tell you. You know, we can talk about who they are as a person and their goals and those kind of things.
Lovely. Would anyone else like to add on to that?
I would just, I would say that the pre-professional advising occurs very early on. And that's critical, because it's important in the first semester of your freshman year that you have a good sense for what that path looks like, what you need to be achieving, and the best ways to explore the path, right? Because the deeper your exploration is, and the more thoughtful your exploration is, you're going to come to one of two decisions. You're either going to say, this is exactly what I thought it was, and this is what I want to do, or this isn't at all what I thought it would be like, and this is not what I want to do. And our philosophy is that it's better to realize that early in the process than in your junior year or your senior year. And so it's a very hands-on approach to advising, and it begins literally within the first month of your freshman year, helping you understand not only what it takes to be competitive at the next level, but providing you with direction on how to effectively explore whatever the career interest is that you're developing.
And for advising, you're typically assigned a major advisor second semester of your freshman year. So we're getting to know you very early on in the academic process, and we're there to help guide you very early on in the academic process. We meet with our advisees at least once a semester, if not more than that. For pre-professional advising, we have meetings once, if not twice a year, with our pre-professional advisees to make sure that everyone's, on the right track and getting the experience they need, and taking the coursework that they need in order to achieve those career goals. So it's not like we meet with you once and we say, good luck, see you at graduation. We're very much a part of your academic life throughout your time at Carroll.
And I would also add that I think advisors are a great resource for getting connections in the community, because oftentimes pre-professional advisors are contacted by community members. So maybe dentist clinics or medical clinics, PAs, PTs will contact us and say, hey, I'd love for Carroll students to shadow or help out, or I have an internship position. And so we have those connections to then pass on to our students. So they're also a great resource for just helping you get the experiences you need, not just the academic courses that you need in order to get into graduate school.
Wonderful. So one question that was submitted was, do I have to specify that I want to be a part of the PreMed track or program? And this could be for actually any of the pre-professionals. Do you have to specify? And maybe how early does that have to happen? Is it something that they have to know right away coming in, or they even start freshman year, or can it happen a little later? So if anyone with pre-professionals care to answer that.
So I'll start with that on the pre-med side of things. So you don't really have an obligation to declare anything. It is nice for us to know what your professional interests are, but what I'm able to do early in the fall semester is send an email to every single student on campus. And the email says, if you are thinking about, even if it's a remote possibility that you might be interested in becoming a physician, there is a required pre-professional group advising meeting that you need to attend. And so all of the freshmen that might potentially be interested in being a doctor attend that meeting, and then we visit for an hour and a half about what that experience should be like. And then the sophomores come in, and then the juniors and the seniors. So what I'm saying is, it's not like you have to contact me because I'm going to reach out and contact you. And we advertise these in our classes. So it would be, unless you completely ignore email and you never attend class, it would be impossible to not know about these advising opportunities. So, and I think different areas approach this in kind of a similar sort of way, the details for which are probably subtly different.
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
So I would add to that, and it's similar but more dispersed if you're thinking about graduate school, because the process is always a little bit different. And while we don't have an ecology major or a pre-medical major that has anything really to do with the registrar's office, this is all kind of additional guidance for your career plans. And so, like Dan was saying, the earlier you get in that process, the better off you are, because you now have 4 years to plan shadowing and job experiences and those kind of things, rather than showing up your senior year and saying, hey, I'm ready to apply for medical school, and you haven't actually thought about that process at all. And so that's kind of one of the ways that we think about our major, and I'll sort of echo what I said before, is we have this baseline major, whether it's biology or biochemistry, that sets you up really well to do a bunch of different things. But you also have to put in that extra work and kind of do that planning for your own professional plans after that. And we help you do that, but the earlier you start that, the better off you are.
Wonderful. All right, the next question was in regards to pre-dental, but Dr. Otto hit it's having a little issues with her router, which I'm sure everyone can see it's coming through the chat. But so we'll hold off on that question for just a second until she can join us back again. But so then another question that came in when I was, and again, everyone can see this, but just for sake of reading it out, when I was looking at the 4-year program for the biology major, I saw that freshman year recommended math class was differential calculus. Not feeling like quite ready for that math class yet, so wondering what other math classes would be recommended, or what's a good way to start into that. Dr. Gretch, maybe do you have any advice for that?
Really, when you think about what you would be completing at Carroll, ultimately there are 3 obligations that you need to meet. You need to fulfill the requirements for your major. You need to fulfill the requirements for the liberal arts core, and then you have to have completed 122 credits. And of course, if you want to graduate in 4 years, which is the goal of most of our students, you need to do those things in 4 years. And so for the math requirements in biology, you can take that math course in your freshman year, or you can take it in your sophomore year. If you feel that by starting out with a biology and a chemistry and a math course all in your freshman year, that may be overly burdensome, you can be strategic about it. And maybe the best strategy then is to hold off on the math and not have that occurring in the first semester of your freshman year. Also really common in the biology curriculum is statistics. And a statistics course might be one that tastes a little better for you as your first college math class. So it kind of depends on who you are and what your math background is and how comfortable you are in a semester where you're taking those types of courses all simultaneously. See, the good thing is no matter how you sequence it, everyone gets to the same point in 4 years. Right? You're not married to a certain sequence of classes. Of course, for the biology classes, you would, of the 3 courses that Dr. Otto said, you would want to complete those in your first year, your first 3 semesters. But again, even those can occur in any sequential order.
And I would just put in a quick plug for our academic advisors for those of you that were able to do the Carroll 101 program this week. And for those of you who may not have been able to, but are going to join us either next week or the following week, because we have 3 options for Carroll 101, our academic advisors will work with you on that. So it's something you can always email them and say, hey, because they actually have 3 different kind of 4-year plans within biology of how that first year, freshman year can be changed in different ways. So maybe some of you took calculus in high school and absolutely loved it. I don't know who you are. Congrats if you did that, because I was not one of those people. But so there's like a 1 semester calculus course you could take, or there's a 2 semester calculus course you could take, or some students don't take calculus their first year at all. So our academic advisors, for getting you to come here before you get a chance to really work with our wonderful faculty that are available, they can help kind of set you up so that they'll know what are you comfortable with, what are you not so sure about. They're a fantastic resource for all of you as you're getting ready to start your time here at Carroll. So, fantastic. So let's ask, I've got a couple other questions listed out here. So maybe we could talk about what are some co-curricular opportunities available for students who are looking to go to medical school, again, pre-dental, pre-PA, any of those, just different kind of opportunities maybe outside of the classroom.
Sorry about that. My computer booted me, so.
Welcome back. I don't know if you heard all my question that just came in. I didn't see if your audio was connected, but a question I've put out for faculty to answer is maybe some co-curricular opportunities that are available to students as they're looking to move on to medical school, dental school, again, PA, PT, the whole lovely gamut, so.
There's so many. I think that's one of the strengths of Carroll. It's one of my favorite pitches when recruiting. I went to really big universities with 30, 40,000 students where they were like fighting to get any kind of experience they could possibly get to help build their resume. And here at Carroll, as the pre-dental advisor, I have dentists in town calling me at least once a semester with an open door policy for our students. Like they want our students to come in to shadow to get that experience. And we're even doubly lucky because there are several dentists in town that are Carroll alumni, which means that they understand Carroll academics. They've gone through that process. They know the foundation that you guys get being at Carroll and how that helps you in dental school. They know what experiences you need, and they're able to provide that guidance. So that is like a huge, huge benefit to being at Carroll and to having this close relationship with providers in Helena. I mean, right now I have more opportunities for pre-dental students than I have pre-dental students. I have at least 15 providers, 15 different providers in town across all different areas of specialty that want our students in the office with them. And you can start that as early as your freshman year. If you want to like come in and say, I'm interested in dentistry, maybe I'll shadow for 2 or 3 hours a week. There is an office in town that will happily take you.
And so I would echo that. That applies so in my field ecologically, but even in those less well-known health and medicine fields. I was talking to someone who's a speech therapist, which is a very specialized medical profession that requires a graduate degree. And it's highly biological, but they work, specialized in the health field, and they, out of the blue, said, please send us students to shadow. So, I mean, there are even these very kind of specific health professions that people are less aware of that want Carroll students, and because they're really highly regarded. And so even if you have no idea what you want to do in the health field, there's that opportunity for exploration with these fields that maybe you've never even heard of.
Wonderful.
So just kind of offer a couple thoughts about this. So we also have on campus an internship coordinator who is just really wonderful at forging relationships with clinics and hospitals and offices. And that person is a wonderful resource in helping students navigate the process of looking for internships or co-curricular opportunities. So again, just another resource that we have available to us. And then one of the realities is it can be challenging to explore these co-curricular opportunities at the same time that you're taking a full load of classes and maybe working a part-time job. And so oftentimes our students explore during the summer. And that may be in Helena, or if you return to your hometown or home city, maybe you're looking for a co-curricular opportunity there. And we have created legal documents, a memorandum of understanding with hospitals as an example, that help plow the road and make it as easy as possible for you to get that experience at that hospital in Portland or Seattle or Spokane or Missoula, wherever it is that you're from. And Carroll will even provide liability insurance on your behalf to make it more conducive for the hospital to allow you to come and to shadow or to work there.
Wonderful. I didn't even know that. So that's a great little tidbit for me to know as well. Awesome. Oh, and Dr. Otto hit one question that came in right as your router was kind of acting up was, does the pre-dental advising start first or second semester?
First semester. So I have a pre-dental meeting in November every year, and that covers all students in all levels of pre-dentistry. Yeah.
And is it kind of, so Dr. Gretch talked about how like he kind of sends out, like he lets people know, is it also like pre-dental is kind of told about in the classes and such, like, hey, the pre-dental meeting's coming up? Do you do that?
In classes, I have them announce it through Student Life so that everyone's getting emails and it's on the computer screens and on the video screens and it's everywhere.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Dr. Hahn, I guess I'd just include you. Do you do that for the PA and PT, or do you guys start first or second semester?
Yeah, so I've stayed kind of quiet during the advising because I just started as the pre-PA, pre-PT advisor, so I can't speak from experience yet. However, I know that in the past, the pre-PT and the pre-PA advisors have held meetings in the spring semester as well as in the fall semester just to get students thinking about what they need for classes and experiences. And so I'm assuming I'm going to continue doing the same thing.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Another question that came in is it easy to minor in a field that is nowhere near biology or chemistry while being this full major, such as maybe a foreign language?
Absolutely. Yes. Usually first semester sophomore year is when I start poking at my advisees, like, what do you want to minor in? Minor in something. I've had students minoring or even double majoring in computer science or theology or gender studies or sociology. You know, you want to minor in something that you're passionate about, that interests you, and that really makes you more well-rounded once you leave Carroll. I mean, even myself, I was a modern lit minor and a biochemistry major. My modern lit minor, that was like my sanity course. My sanity courses where I could read and talk and discuss and argue, you know, so it's great to have that balance of having those hard, you know, fact-focused science courses and then something more, you know, humanities based. So absolutely.
Yeah, I would say there's a large number of our students that are either double majors or have a major and then a minor in something, you know, technically unrelated, although I think a lot of us would argue that all of these things are related. And one of the things that does is it gives you a different window into the field that you're majoring in. And that, I think, just adds on to how you talk about medicine, how you talk about science, and oftentimes that experience, that viewpoint can make you a better whatever it is that you're going to be. And so a lot of us, I think, encourage students to do that because no matter what that other major is, it will help you with the way you think about biology.
And I would say that I have kind of two examples of what Dr. Almquist was saying. So one of them is I have a lot of students who minor in Spanish, and they've actually found that that's really beneficial when they go on these abroad trips, right? So maybe they're going to Mexico or Uganda or Ecuador or somewhere doing medical outreach. And so they're really, the doctors, they really rely on them to help with translating. So that's been really helpful for some of those students. And then another minor is data science. So it's kind of a newer minor and major that we have. And I think that's a really good one to complement biology or biochemistry, just because it just kind of adds to the analytical skills that you have. And I think that data science is really up and coming right now. And I think people really appreciate the fact that you know how to code or you even understand a different coding language. And so I think that that's a really good skill to add to your discipline of interest.
Yeah, and I'm going to plug selfishly plug the neuroscience minor too. That is new at Carroll starting this past fall is when it first got on the books. And it's a great blend between biology, chemistry, physics, data sciences, and psychology. So myself and a colleague in the psychology department were the ones that developed this minor program. And so it's great because some of the coursework that you would do in biology anyway would count towards the minor, and it would give you some coursework in physics, in data sciences, and in psychology too, all centered on understanding the nervous system. So that's my plug.
Nice. Wonderful. Anyone else need to add anything else? Any other little plugs? We love plugging out our different minors and such. Okay, awesome. So let's see here. Any other questions from the students that are with us? Do any of you have any specific questions? I've got one more before then we might wrap it up if there's no other questions. Second. Okay.
Now's your chance, guys.
Yeah, you've got all the, like so many more biology faculty in one location. I don't know how often that happens during the school year. Okay, so I guess as we're working on, students are looking at their options, making their decisions. We're really excited that a lot of these students here are planning to attend Carroll. And oh, never mind, one more question came in. Stop me halfway. So what year would you recommend for a pre-med student to take physics?
So it commonly is taken in their junior year. As you're taking biology and chemistry courses, usually you're in 2 science courses, lecture and lab in each of your first 4 semesters. So it's like 2 science classes, lecture lab, 2 science classes, lecture lab, right? And then the world opens up in terms of elective courses. And so commonly, biology majors are beginning their physics the first semester of their junior year. Doesn't have to be that way at all, but I would say that's the most common thing. For pre-med students, in order to apply to medical school, you have to take the MCAT exam, and it's an 8-hour long exam. And there's 4 different categories that are represented in the MCAT, and physics is one of them. And really, in a realistic way, probably the earliest you could take the MCAT would be at the end of your junior year. And so there are some students who really want to get all of their courses that are relevant for the MCAT completed by the end of their junior year. So if they choose to take the MCAT, then they can. Of course, you could take the MCAT at the end of your senior year, which allows you to stretch your curriculum out a little bit more, and you don't need to be as sequential. But I think the short answer is the vast majority of the students take it in their junior year, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
All right, wonderful. So then we had 2 more questions come in. So can you double major, or sorry, no, can you double minor and have 1 major, or can that get to be a little too much? You're a bio major and looking to maybe do double minors. Is that possible?
I see that all the time, especially because a chemistry minor. So with the biology major and pre-medical requirements, a chemistry minor is 1 additional course. So I have a lot of biology majors that are pre-med or pre-dental or even wanting to go to grad school. And because they already have to take a lot of chemistry, they can actually get a chemistry minor with 1 additional course. And then they might minor in something completely unrelated. So absolutely.
Awesome. Perfect.
And it's really up to you. So I think Dr. Otto hit one of her first statements a couple questions ago is, it should be driven in part by your interest, right? The things that you're really interested in. And then secondly, you might think about applicability. So for example, Dr. Hahn said, hey, considering data science as a way to augment your skill set, right? We have students that have no minor, right? They choose an engaging major and they love it. And then beyond that, they distribute their courses in a lot of different academic areas, and none of it adds up to a minor. And they're really not disadvantaged in any way when they apply to medical school, as an example. So you really want that well-rounded set of exposures that college provides you with, right? To be able to ask and answer questions from a lot of different perspectives. And sometimes, part of that is finding something that you really enjoy and you're passionate about, and all of a sudden there's a minor. And if it's 2 minors, it's great, as long as you don't overwhelm yourself and do more harm than good. But yeah, as Dr. Otto Hitt said, that's not an uncommon thing.
Wonderful. All right. So then we had another question that came in. If you're unsure on whether or not you want to be on the pre-med track or the pre-dental track, how would you go about deciding? And that again can also be applicable to a lot of the other areas, graduate schools, other pre-professional programs. But what would be, I guess, your advice from maybe each of you of how do you go about deciding? Like, how do you pick?
Shadowing. Getting in the offices and seeing what life is like. I mean, going to, of course, the pre-professional advising meetings, going to the pre-dental and the pre-med meetings so you get an idea of the layout of the land, but also just getting into clinics and into medical offices as soon as you can, even if it's a couple hours a week, just to see what it's like.
Yeah, if I was trying to decide between learning how to play the piano or the guitar, I would probably try both. And that's true of making decisions about what you want to do professionally. You need to explore. You need to give it a whirl and see how it tastes.
Wonderful. And so another question that came in, I know it's possible to major in something other than biology or chemistry for medical school. Does this put you at a disadvantage to getting accepted?
So our data suggests that there's no disadvantage at all to coursework taking outside of the science. My advice to students is, if you want to go to medical school, you can major in anything. Right? Who wants to go to school and study something for 4 years that they don't inherently enjoy? So your selection of major should be based upon your interests and what you're passionate about. So the second thing is, though, there are courses that you must take as prerequisites for medical school and in order to do well on the MCAT. And as you might expect, many of those courses lie in the sciences. Right? They're biology courses and chemistry courses and physics courses and statistics. So if you were a theology major or a philosophy major or a history major, you could be incredibly competitive for medical school. But by taking the courses that are really required, and it's about 10 to 12 courses, by taking these courses that are really required by medical schools and important for the MCAT, you pretty much would automatically have a biology minor without even thinking about it. You would have that biology minor. And hopefully you would be a well-rounded person who also has significant strengths in the sciences and will have fulfilled prerequisites and can perform well on the MCAT.
Awesome. Wonderful. Perfect. Well, we are coming to the end of our time. I would like to just thank everyone that was able to join us here. This was fantastic. I would also like to thank all of our faculty members for joining us today. Thank you so very much. I know this will help a lot of students just feel comfortable with things that they're looking at and the questions they're asking. So, I can't say thank you enough. If anyone else has last minute words they'd like to share with the group, they definitely can. But other than that, we can go ahead and wrap up this session for today. Yes.
I would just say one thing. Thanks all of you for joining us. And if you have questions, we're easy to find on the website. You can shoot us an email, and we'd be happy to answer any other questions that you might think of. So.
I know we just had another question coming too about opportunities in different countries.
Thank you. Yes, I just looked down and I was like, oh no, I missed one. But yes, so would anyone care to speak about opportunities to see how healthcare works in different countries?
I can share some ideas on that. So we have a couple alumni that lead a trip to Mexico, medicine in Mexico, and they take pre-med and pre-nursing students primarily, but other healthcare areas, to Mexico, and they serve children who are in an orphanage, displaced children, and then the poor in nearby communities. So that's medical mission work in the context of another country, but it doesn't necessarily expose you to how medicine operates in that country. Now, there are other abroad opportunities that allow you to get those kinds of insights. And Carroll is really, really, really selective in advocating for very specific experiences abroad that are clinically related. Because I'll be honest with you, there are some corporations that will take your money and take you to another country, and it ends up being more like voluntourism than it is volunteerism. And it is really given a bad name to the whole idea of going abroad to understand how medicine is practiced. So our study abroad and global outreach coordinators are really, really selective about the screening highly reputable opportunities and then advertising those opportunities to our students as ones that are legitimate and are well respected.
Fantastic. I'm afraid to start up another pitch about how we're going to start wrapping things up because I'm watching my questions in case they come in. But would anyone else like to say goodbye, faculty, while I watch the questions? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and look forward to, if you do have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Admissions can definitely help you get in contact with our faculty here. They're fantastic with working with all students, prospective and current. I always feel so comfortable sending on students to different professors in any department. So even if you have questions about some of those maybe majors outside of biology, feel free to reach out to your admission counselor and we're happy to get you in contact. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. And yes, go Saints. So
Thank
awesome.
you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
How do I get out of here?
There's
trapped
is there an end
forever.
meeting? Oh, she found it. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Almquist.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good day.
You too.